Welcome to the senior panel from the Schaumburg Bonn. We meet monthly to discuss changes that have taken place in our society from our youth and on. And we welcome you today with the topic of change and talking about the holidays of December. And as you can see, even with change right here, we have a little change in format and more to come. But I would like to introduce our panel to you now. Dale?
My name is Dale Alm. I'm retired. I used to work for AT&T during my working life. Been retired for the last 15 odd years. Try to keep busy by chasing after my grandchildren. My wonderful wife, of course. Play a little golf now and then. I love to go to the barn as many days as I can. I enjoy the food and the companionship, the fellowship. It's, so the programs there are interesting. I belong to a stock club. I spend a little bit of time pursuing that, seeing how I can lose my money efficiently.
Well, at least at the Bonn, we can save you some money, right, yes. Bonnie? Bonnie, could you tell us something of yourself?
Hi, I'm Bonnie Carlin. I'm a longtime resident of Schaumburg and very proud to be here, also at the barn. I work for the Schaumburg Park District part-time, which I consider a social activity because we have the nicest people living in Schaumburg, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Tom?
Hi, my name is Tom Conaway. I'm also retired. I worked for IBM for 30 years. Since then, I volunteer with several different groups, the Boy Scouts, local organizations, the Civilian Police Academy, Alumni Association, and do some volunteer work at the police department also. And get over to the barn, help Kieran out on Saturdays, delivering meals to some of our shut-in seniors.
Thank you very much. And I'm Lori Candle. I am president of the Senior Advisory Council, and also I am the moderator for the Change program, and I want to thank each and every one of you for coming. This month we're going to be talking about December, and December commemorates many holidays, festivities, celebrations, gift giving, and of course retail sales. Religiously, we have the Christmas holiday, which Christians celebrate with the birth of Christ. We also have the Feast of Lights, which is Hanukkah. And Hanukkah does commemorate the Maccabees finding one jug of oil that they burned in the temple, and it lasted for 8 days when it wasn't supposed to last but one. We also have a secular holiday, which is Kwanzaa, and Kwanzaa celebrates the African culture and was established in 1966 by Aaron Karenga. And at that particular time with this holiday, it is almost like Hanukkah in a sense that it's celebrated for 8 days and a gift is given on each day. Now, these holidays have led to many different customs, stories, celebrations, but one of the most endearing, of course, is the story of Santa Claus. Santa Claus is something that is symbolic of the holidays itself, along with the Christmas tree. He really started with the real person, Saint Nicholas, who lived in the 4th century in Myra, which is now Turkey. And he was a generous, kind gentleman, a bishop, who used to help out the poor and needy. And many stories have grown up about him, throwing gold coins into windows of needy people, having them land in the stockings that were hung by the fireside to dry. And this custom has come on down through the years. How Santa Claus got its name from St. Nicholas is kind of interesting too. When the Dutch came over to New York, they called St. Nicholas as a Sir Claus. And the children really came up with the name Santa Claus because they started to say it with their childish way. He didn't become very popular until Washington Irving, the author, included him in a book, The History of New York. And he described Santa Claus as riding into town on a horse. Later on, he changed it, and he was in a wagon flying through the sky. William Geely had a poem later on in 1821 where the horse became reindeer, a single reindeer. But it wasn't until Clement Clark Moore wrote The Night Before Christmas that Santa became really a almost living person with 8 tiny reindeer, although he was an elf at that time. As time went on, he has changed. He is now the big, jolly fellow. But if we go around to different parts of the world, he may look differently. And there are many, many ways that Santa has become known. But to the children, he's a bearer of gifts. And I'd like to ask the panel, what is your earliest memory of Santa Claus? Do you have one?
I can remember going to the store as a rather young person, all wrapped up in my winter gear because I grew up in Minnesota at that time, and we had to do it early because we always, while in Minnesota, would go north from the Minneapolis area up to Duluth to be with the grandparents, and even further up north onto the iron ore range where my dad was from.
Mm-hmm. And you really had to bundle up because the weather was cold there.
We had to bundle up, and I can remember walking out on starlit nights in a carpet of stars from on the clear nights from one side to the other. Light, all our lighting, the tree light, house lights and whatnot, can't see them anymore. You see one or two of the real bright ones.
Right. Do either Dale or Bonnie, do you have any recollections of Santa Claus?
I have recollections of Santa. We did get gifts too, and I remember getting up very, very early in the morning and being very excited that maybe Santa came, and waking up my brother and sister, and somehow the gifts were always there. We did have a fireplace, and we left cookies and milk for Santa. And I'm sure he enjoyed them because there wasn't a crumb left when we got up.
I saw Mommy kissing Santa
right.
Claus. Dale, how about you?
Well, I can remember Santa, of course. What child couldn't remember Santa? I loved him, especially since he was the bearer of good tidings and, well, as gifts. I kind of remember feeling a kinship with the reindeer. My grandmother and grandfather, for that matter, are from Finland. My grandmother lived in Lapland, and she was had a dark-skinned person. And I used to think that since that was where all the reindeer are supposed to be from, or a lot of them were from, that she might have even known Santa's reindeers in her girl's phase. So that was the thing I always thought about when I thought about Santa Claus.
Well, you know, there is actually a place that Santa is supposed to live all year long. I remember seeing it in one of the writings that children can write there. I don't know if it's up in Lapland or up in Norway, but kind of an interesting situation. Well, Santa has been really a big part of our life, and I think it's a memory that not only you can cherish, but your children, your grandchildren, and hopefully great-grandchildren when they do come along. Okay, we'll take a short break now and we'll be back to talk about some of the toys of days gone by.